Welcome and good evening, and welcome to the Princeton Adult School. We're going to talk about using technology to grow your business. And whether you have an existing business or you're starting one up, there are going to be some strategies that you're going to want to put in place to advertise and promote your business. And social media and digital strategies could be some of what you will want to implement. I'll tell you just a little bit about myself. So who am I? Why am I sitting here? So that's me, David Schuckman. I'm an IT consultant. I've got my own company in Princeton. It's called Princeton Technology Advisors. And the reason why I named it that is because it is in Princeton, and I'm a technology advisor, just that simple. Among the things that we do build websites for companies. We also manage websites. So some companies have websites already, but they don't have someone to update or fix it. There's something called excuse me, managed services. So if you had servers or other computers in the office and you just want to make sure that virus scanning is running, backups are running, all that, we just manage those for you, so you don't need an IT department. A little bit we'll talk about today is email marketing and search engine optimization. We can't deep dive into those topics, but we'll talk about them, get you introduced to them. And also project management and technology implementation. I do a number of those types of projects where a company is implementing some software that they acquired or trying to deploy it among an organization, whatever the type of tech project, tech business project. So I do those as well. And I'm also a little bit of a writer. I'm a blogger. We're going to talk about blogging in this presentation as well. So you're welcome. It's actually on my website, but that's the direct name for the blog. At the end, I'll give you my contact information. You're welcome to write it down or copy it down. This slide deck is available on my website, so you can revisit it and download it. And we're recording this presentation, and probably by tomorrow afternoon, the recording will be available on my website as well, right next to the download. So everything can be revisited in one place. And again, I'll show you that a little later. So, there are some trends in the way that we do business these days. And actually, this presentation I've had for a couple of years, and I think these digital trends are being magnified to some extent because of the pandemic and COVID. It's changed the way that we are doing business and engaging with clients. And certainly, 93% of our online experience starts with an online search. Many of us use Google, Bing, Yahoo, the search engines, and Google accounts for about 85% of all searches online. But they start with an online search. We are just very used to searching for information online. 80% of people do research on a company before they make a purchase. And you know that's true because you're probably doing the same thing. You may hear about a product, whether you saw it even in a magazine or on television, and you'll go online and maybe go to their website or see what the buzz is that other people are writing about, but to help make the decision, you're going to look online. And so online is a digital place. And 79%, this is as of 2016, 79% of consumers in the United States shop online. And I've got to believe in the last 7 or 8 months, it's probably much higher than that, just from the amount of stores that we hear are closing. Malls that may be closing as well. 3 announced in New Jersey may be closing. Amazon, which used to have 1 and 2 day delivery, doesn't offer that on a lot of their services, any products anymore, because the amount of sales that they have in their big warehouses. They do offer fast service, but not all the products are 2 day. So yeah, a lot more shopping online. And then there are even services that deliver through an online process where it used to only be in person. So you can buy your groceries online, you can buy your medications online, all those things that used to be in person. So, but at the basis, why is online presence really so important? Well, people are searching for products and information online anyway. So you need to be online so that if they're searching for a product or a service that you offer, that you can be found, hopefully, when people are searching for that same product or service. So people are searching online, you want to hope to be found when they're searching for your products that you sell and your services. Now, at the very least, an online presence gives you and your brand credibility. Imagine if you went to a business meeting and someone said, "Oh, it was very nice to meet you. Please give me your business card." And you said, "No, I don't have a business card." Well, you need to be online the same way. You need to have a website. and some other presence online. If you're online, it gives you credibility. And certainly if you're going to do any sort of digital sort of career, like social media management and marketing, you absolutely have to be online. And it's also a way to promote yourself. You can demonstrate your professionalism, your knowledge, your expertise, all the things that really are the things you want people to find out about. And not only can you use it for advertisement, but you could tell stories, you can have testimonials. You can really demonstrate not only that you do something, but why and how you do it and why people like you. So you want to be able to be online for that reason. And it validates you when you're referred, similar to that business card story I mentioned. If you don't have a business card, people may not think you're a real business. Well, nowadays, if you're not online, especially if you don't yet have a website, you may not be a valid business. You know, not a lot of businesses nowadays survive without some sort of presence. So a website at the basic level could be a digital business card. And if you're not yet known, this is where people begin to find out about you. So when people are doing a search, you're hopefully coming up, and then maybe they'll have their aha moment and discover you, and now they'll begin to find out about you and hopefully contact you. The bottom line is there's no yellow pages anymore. This is why online presence is very important. Some of us remember the days of the yellow pages, and actually, having said that, about a month ago, Verizon did send me the yellow pages, which was a very small book compared to when I was young. It used to be a very big book. So, but there really is no, they're not really used anymore to the extent that they used to. And so if your business is not found online, it's functionally irrelevant. Now, I'm not at all trying to insult you and say what you do is irrelevant. The business that you serve and offer is irrelevant. That's not the case. But think about it. If someone is searching for someone like you and they don't see you, they're not calling you. Even in the days of the phone book, if you didn't have that big ad or article in the phone book, you certainly would not have been the first one that they called. So you want to be found online so that functionally you're seen and your business is relevant to them. So promoting yourself online. You want to let your clients find out more about you. What's nice is you're writing the content, so you can let people know what's important. And so you want to let clients find out more about you, the things that are important to you, things about your business, things that help people connect with you before they actually speak with you. And you create the information you want to promote. There are certainly a lot of people that are concerned about promoting and writing online because there's all these hackers and there's other things like that, and information is out there that you don't want out there. But don't be afraid of that. Think of this. You're only going to put the information out there that you want. You're not going to put your credit card numbers and your social security number and all that kind of stuff. However that gets hacked and found, that's not what you're doing. You're going to put all the information important to you about your values, about your service offerings, your contact information. That's what you're going to put out there. So you're essentially controlling the message. Don't worry about the other information that may be out there. And by the way, you only share what you want, as I mentioned before. You demonstrate what's really important to you, your value proposition. So you get to demonstrate that. You get to demonstrate your expertise to show that you are the expert in the field that you want people to know that you are. And if there is any negative stuff out there, you get to neutralize it. And the longer you're in business, it's possible there'll be negative stuff out there, and not because of any fault of your own. But there are some websites like Google, Yelp, and others where people put reviews, and every once in a while, someone will be putting a review, and you can't believe it's not 5 stars. So sometimes that's out there. But if there's a lot of positive stuff, if you're putting a lot of optimistic and positive information, the occasional poor review is really not going to impact you. You get to neutralize the negative stuff that may be out there. Right? And a lot of times with those review sites, you get to respond as well. I've got one friend of mine who's an attorney. She's got 2 negative reviews. And you may say, well, that sounds awful. But those weren't her clients. So somehow somebody had a bad experience with a lawyer in her town, picked her by website and wrote a negative review, and she wound up responding, I'm terribly sorry, you were not my client. This is not reflective of my services. So she was able to negate it a little bit. So think about it. Some people don't believe you can negate the negative stuff out there, but I'll give you kind of an example, and this is a real world example. If you were in the market to go shopping for a car today, of course, if we were all in person, you might raise your hands or nod your head. But if you were car shopping, might you consider shopping for a Toyota? Now, I'm not saying that's the one you would buy, but is it a brand worth considering? And a lot of people would be saying yes, most likely. Or might you consider shopping for a Honda? And also a lot of people would. Now, of course, every brand has people that may not like the car as much as others, and that's fine. But in general, people would. Now, I would be saying, what the heck are you talking about? Toyota's had a terrible problem with their gas pedal that was sticking. So certainly what you want to do is not shop with Toyota. The Camry, and for a couple model years, the Corolla, and people had accidents. That was awful. You shouldn't shop for Toyota. And don't forget, Honda had the airbag recall problem. If people had some bad collision accident with a Honda, the airbag might inflate to normally protect them, but there were metal shards that came out of some of them. Well, when you think about it, they controlled their message, and that's really the reason why. They were very successful in overcoming the negative messages that were out there. And if you think about it, the people that were touting the negative messages were really the news services, because news services get attention from the sensationalism of any story. I'm not commenting on any particular news service. It doesn't matter what their politics are. But these companies took the bull by the horn, and they promoted the reliability of their brands and how strong their brands are and their loyalty of their customers and the things that they did to overcome these problems. Toyota, it turned out to really be a problem, not with the gas pedal, but the floor mat. The floor mat, if it slipped, could slip onto the gas pedal, so they fixed that. And Honda had a big recall and replaced all the airbags on those cars. My wife has a Honda, and hers was replaced for free. So they really took care of it. They were very honorable. So probably still worth your while if you like Honda and Toyota to keep shopping those brands. So what is social media? And social media, I saw this definition a couple of years ago, and I just thought this was perfect. And it's the collective of online communication channels dedicated to community-based input, interaction, content sharing, and collaboration. And I read this over and over again, and I said, yeah, that's really what it is. And then the more I thought about it, the more I thought there's really a problem with this definition. As strong as it is, as accurate as I believe it is, it's confusing. And so I kind of boiled it down. It's really using the internet to share information with others. That's what social media is. And really boils down to just this simple. Now, we'll talk about this community and communication channels in just a moment, but this is really what you're doing. You're sharing information with others, and you're using the internet to do that. So here are some of the communication channels, these online communication channels. Now, this diagram that has the circle in the middle with the little circles on the outside connected by the little lines, this is a strategy called Spoke and Hub. And the website is the hub. And if this was a wheel, the outer pieces would be turning, connected to the website by those individual spokes. And so this is a strategy that I do subscribe to. I do believe in it. And it basically means that your website is the hub or the center of all your communication activity. And whether you're using pay-per-click or social media sites or email marketing or anything else, it all comes back to your website. And when people go from social media to your website, well, it may direct them to other social media sites, or maybe you have an e-commerce, that's the ShopBots, or other things. So it kind of all flows through the website from these other sites. Now, we'll be talking about most of these, again, as an introduction, as a high level, but to get you thinking about the different possible tools and strategies that you may be able to use to help promote and grow your business. So for one is a professional website or a personal website. And so with a website, we're going to talk to a couple of things. It is very important for promoting your brand. And think about it. Whenever you do a Google search, you put in a search term, or whether you use Bing or Yahoo, you put in a search term, you press the search button, and comes back a whole list of stuff. And the stuff that comes back are all websites or web pages on a websites. That's all these search engines serve up. And you may say, no, it served up a document, the user guide. Yeah, but the user guide is in a website. Everything is a website. So it's very important for being found and promoting your brand. So it does let you easily be found online. And it's more robust than just about anything else that you can have. Certainly a business card that people see, well, that's only good to who you hand it to. Marketing documents, brochures, those are good, but only to the people that see it. Plus, it's a lot more content that you can put on a website than you typically can in any of those other traditional forms of marketing. And those other forms of marketing become obsolete the moment you hand them out, because your website you can update constantly as you have new services, new offerings, new products that you want to talk about, and new postings. So it's always very current. So it's certainly more dynamic and not static, just as I mentioned. It's not outdated. It's always current. So that's the real benefit of websites. Now, to promote your website content, what's very important is you want your audience to have enough information to help them make a decision, a buying decision, a phone call decision. You want to give them enough information. You don't want to overwhelm them. And especially as you build a website, it's built a little bit in a hierarchy. You get to the home page, and there might be a menu or links to get to other pages. The home page, or the higher up in the hierarchy, you actually put less information. As they drill down and get through the hierarchy, then you can give them more information. The reason why is you don't want to overwhelm anyone until they're ready to get the information that you're trying to get them to understand. Okay? You want to also tell, I call it a story about your business, a story about you. And in the website, what that basically means is your website should have a common theme running across it. Don't have a website that has different web pages, but each web page talks about something completely different from the other things that are on your website. Now, if you have a service or 2 or 3 different types of services, you have a page for each, but they're all under your one business, that's okay. But maybe if you have 2 businesses or 3 businesses that you're considering, have multiple websites. For search engine optimization, that common story, when Google understands what your website is about, it will understand because Google's actually reading all the pages on your website. But if you put different stuff there, it could be confusing. Or you may bring a visitor to your website and they're interested in what's one page. When they go to the next page, they're not interested in all. It's just completely different. So keep the story the same. The information certainly should be helpful to them. Don't just put information because it's interesting to you. It's got to be useful and interesting to them. And you can also promote all of your content on social media as well. For instance, if you had a Facebook page or LinkedIn profile, you can write a post that sends them back to your website. And so that cross promotion is actually completely free. And there's that spoken hub working. On the outside of the spokes might be your social media sites pointing back to the hub, to your website. You certainly want your website to be what's called responsive in design or mobile friendly. And a lot of old websites aren't. And a good way to tell is if you pick up your phone and you open the browser and you look at a website, if it looks like an eye chart, then they're not mobile ready. They're not mobile friendly. So the web pages automatically adjust in different sizes. The website knows if it's running on a widescreen monitor like a desktop computer, a laptop. It knows if it's running on a tablet, which might be more square, or a phone, which might be more vertical. And it will move the pictures and the images around to fit the display properly. So the content adapts to the size of the computer, the size of the display. It doesn't matter what type of display you're using. And for us web designers, this is actually the most flexible way to design a website. And if you ever talk to a new web programmer who says, well, it costs extra for mobile design, no, it doesn't. It's all now built in all the web services. So it's really the easiest way for us to build. And then when you think of the millennials, the younger generation, the Gen Y, they're not the youngest, but they're young. They're kind of the heart of the workforce right now. 20% of millennials don't even have a desktop or laptop computer. So if the products or services that you're looking to sell and promote are often going to be, or hopefully going to be, bought by younger people, it's got to be phone ready, mobile ready. That becomes very important. Okay. Also, what you want to put is what's called local search information. So search engine optimization, we'll get into in a bit more detail towards the end of the presentation, but you want at very least that you have local references in your website. 20% of all Google searches are local. In other words, if someone wanted to buy boat supplies, 20% of the people are putting in the location, boat supplies, Mercer County, or boat supplies near me. With mobile devices and computers, they now know your location. So you want to be able to address that. So when someone puts that in, your website has to have references like your service areas or your address and that kind of information. So it's more localized. So you do optimize by adding location and local contact information, and it can be put on every page. You might have some local search terms as keywords, and it might be something as simple, we are the premier provider of boats in Mercer County. Put that on a web page, and the computer will go and Google will go, oh, Mercer County, yeah, I get it. You may put a map and directions so people can find you if they're going to come, assuming you have a physical store, a physical location. And there are some local listing directories that you can be on as well. And really, when your presence is across these other websites like Yelp and Local and Google and such, Google makes sense of that. Google will figure it out. Google will see that you're in multiple places, and it does help your local search engine optimization. Google will understand that you are of a local area. There's also something called Google My Business. And this is a completely free service. And it kind of gives you this kind of search panel or result panel after a search. So this is my Google My Business page. So it's not a web page, it's something in Google. But when you search for me, Princeton Technology Advisors, on the right side of the screen, this box will pop up. You've seen these boxes before. Maybe you do or don't remember them, but I'm sure you have with certain searches. And it does help with your search engine optimization because Google kind of says, well, if you've got one of these, you must be a very legitimate business. It's completely free to set it up, and you put in all sorts of good information. It pops up as a result of your search results. You can add your web link, your contact information, hours of operation. You can even put in exceptions, like if it's a holiday that you are or are not working. So it becomes, and you show up in Google Maps. And so that little map just above the picture is the map of my address. So when you see the little pin right there, that's me. Okay, and it does help search engine optimization on Google. And they'll also give you some basic search engine results access so that you can see a little bit about how your website's performing. It's not full analytics, but it gives you some basic ones, some good basic ones to get started. All for free. And there we are to our first intermission. And so let us pause for a moment. If you've got any questions, there's nothing now in chat, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was typing it into chat. So this Google My Business, is that the same thing that we get phone calls that says Google that they can't confirm our location, or?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. Google calls you and what they're asking to confirm your location?
Yes, to confirm whether the business or that they want to confirm the business, or they want to confirm that. Because I've had other businesses and I always ignore them, but because I thought
the only ones that I've occasionally gotten is someone will call me up and tell me they're a Google partner and that they work with Google. And my opinion is that there's someone trying to sell you search engine optimization or other services, social media marketing services, and that as a partner, they implement Google solutions. Fine, you don't need to be a partner to implement those types of solutions. So I'm thinking maybe that's what it is. I'm not aware that Google calls people directly. I haven't seen it, so I don't know the one specifically that you're getting.
I've always taken them as spam calls.
It could be spam calls. There are a lot of robocalls now. My car is 11 years old, but I get calls a lot letting me know that my warranty is about to expire.
Mm-hmm.
So is Google Solutions is something that is available within Google, or you just call it Google
I
Solutions?
haven't heard of a Google service called Google Solutions.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that it's not legitimate. I would think a company should not be calling themselves Google anything, because Google, I would think, is trademarked. But they could say we offer Google Solutions, I guess.
No, you mentioned Google Solutions, so that's you use the words Google Solutions as you were talking about it. So that's why I was asking if it's.
Then I don't remember specifically, but I think I was talking more generically, a solution through, to work with the Google product line, but not as a specific service offering.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see, there's one question. Please repeat how we open a Google My Business page. In Google, you enter the term Google My Business, and the link will be there.
Okay.
And you should find it. It's actually called G Suite now. That's part of it also. So the basic account is free, and really regular Google is free also, but they give you a couple of business offerings and services. They do try and sell you some things, some of which is well worth it and maybe of interest. For instance, my email address at princetontechnologyadvisors.com is actually Gmail. So I'm using Gmail, but I've got it branded to my website address, and my fee is $6 a month to Google for email. So that's a type of service they sell you. They may want to sell you, which we'll talk more about later, Google Ads, where you can advertise in Google on search engines. We'll talk about search engine optimization as well. Plus you get the G Suite like Google Sheets and Google Forms and all that kind of stuff as well, their version of the Microsoft tools. Yep. Any other thoughts, questions?
Okay.
Okay, so we will move along, and always time throughout the presentation. Okay. Some of you, if you're a certain age, may remember when movies had curtains and intermissions and stuff like that. Let's talk about some of the social media websites that are out there. Now, there's a gazillion of them. Maybe not quite that many, but there's tens of thousands of social media sites. A lot of them could be industry specific. This program is not targeting specific programs. I do another program for the adult school called Social Media for Authors, that we target mostly author websites. But your LinkedIn profile, if you have a business, small, medium, or large, you want to be on LinkedIn. And there are really two components when you're in business. One is you have your personal profile, but then you also have a LinkedIn business page. And so LinkedIn is the #1 B2B or business-to-business website out there. We'll talk more about Facebook in a moment, but LinkedIn is the #1 B2B. As of the beginning of the year, they had over 675 million users. And the reason why this is a professional platform rather than a more retail or residential, this is not grandparents and grandkids sharing photos and vacation experiences. As a matter of fact, you don't put a lot of external content. You can put more now on LinkedIn than it used to be, but it's not really that kind. It's really for businesses to connect and stay involved and stay informed. Business professionals are always looking for people, and they can search. They can search by role and by keywords. You can research prospective clients, whether it's companies or people in the companies, so you can do some initial research. You may have to put a proposal together for one of your clients. You can get some good information about the clients on LinkedIn, and you can make a more targeted presentation, because LinkedIn is one of the places where the companies themselves and the people in the companies can post information. So you can get some good information out of LinkedIn. It's certainly not as limiting as a document for size and content. The page can get quite long, and plus when you start adding other pages and posts and groups that you belong to, there can be a tremendous amount of information, a wealth of information that becomes available that you and that others will post. And it's free. What's better than that? LinkedIn does have a paid subscription, so you have to decide if you think that's important for you. It depends on how you plan on using LinkedIn. Also, LinkedIn does have a subscription for recruiters. And so that actually is a much more expensive subscription, and it's a completely different tool that uses the same database. So LinkedIn does get their money from subscriptions, and they get enough money that they can offer a free version. You generally get stronger ability to search and communicate with others, search for others and communicate with others with one of the subscriptions. You also get access to their training library. Otherwise, that would not be available for free, those features. Facebook, plain and simple, it's the #1 website on the planet, the #1 social media site on the planet. As of the beginning of the year, 2.7 billion with a B users. So more than a quarter of the people on this planet Earth have a Facebook account. Facebook is also free, but they do make their money from boosting posts and certain other features and services that they have as well. It is the #1 social media platform for business to consumer. So a lot of companies are on Facebook, and they're marketing more to the consumer rather than marketing business to business. So if you think about the type of business that you're going to be offering, might Facebook be the place to be? It depends on who your audience is. And we're going to talk more about how to pick a social media site platform for you to start in a little later. It is used by business professionals to share information about the business. They inform clients and their prospects of specials, things that are going on, what's new. And like all social media sites, you certainly want to steer traffic to your website. And given that they have a very large user base, you do have the opportunity to potentially steer a lot of traffic from Facebook to your website. But when you use it for business, be a little bit careful of who you quote unquote friend. So your connections in Facebook, the people you're directly connected with, are called your friends. Very sweet term, of course. But you have to be careful, because if you're using Facebook for personal as well as business, be careful of what you post. And then if you're connected with other people and your security is open, we can see who you're connected to, and you don't have any control over what they post. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you and your family went on a beach vacation, and you have a nice picture of you and your friends or whoever you're with, arm in arm at the beach. Behind you, the sun is setting. You have a drink in your hand. It's very tropical. It looks very pretty. And that sounds like a nice picture. On the other hand, some people may look at it and say, you like to hang out at the beach and get drunk with your friends. You're hanging out at the beach, you got drinks in your hands. You don't know how people are going to take that stuff. Another friend of mine was connected with his niece on Facebook. And she was a young 20-something, and so running around with her friends, out active, showing pictures of friends in bars and things like that, but not the professional image that he wanted to be associated with. He actually unfriended his niece, so if anyone came to his website, his Facebook site, they wouldn't accidentally be connected to these other pictures, which were perfectly fine and innocent, but may not be taken in context. So just be careful of how you're connecting with friends. Typically in LinkedIn, you don't have that as a challenge. It's all professional. But Facebook, it's a very much residential retail type of tool. Twitter. Twitter, I think, is a very underrated tool, underutilized tool, but it's a very powerful one. You get to write anything that you want, but you're very limited to the amount of content that you can write. It's limited to 280 characters. And you may say, how can I write in 280 characters? Well, up until a couple of years ago, you could only write in 140 characters. So they actually increased it. So you can write a lot more. But it's clearly not where you're going to write entire posts. But Twitter, as of the beginning of the year, had over 330 million active users. And actually, a couple of years ago, it was a little higher. Twitter has taken some heat in the news media lately, and so they've been attentive at weeding out some of, I'll just call them fake users or inappropriate users. So it's down to 330 million, still a very strong number. So you're not really writing a lot, but what you do is you're informing people about things that are going on. So maybe you read an interesting article and you can write a little tweet. That's what it's called, a tweet. Oh, I saw a great article on social media marketing, www.website.com, and you put it there and direct them to that. And so it's let them know about an event. There's a great conference coming up. Hope to see you there. Register here, and then you put the link for registering. So that may be helpful. So it's really more of quick notifications. A lot of people, when they use Twitter, kind of like to write the way they would on texts. You know, see you later. Don't do that when you're doing it for business. So it makes it a little bit more of a challenge of getting the words in the 280 characters, but use it professionally, professional talking. So like I said, inform people of a coming event, recent accomplishments, something topical, something new, you know, keep it lively. Tweets don't last very long. I mean, they're posted forever, but there's so many of them, people scroll past them. So always keep something topical. If you're not sure about Twitter's effectiveness, and this is not a political statement, just ask the President of the United States. Now, again, not making a political statement, but what Donald Trump has done is effectively use Twitter as a platform to get his message across. If you are not on Twitter, you have heard some of his tweets. The president certainly has the biggest platform, but news services will pick up some tweets because that's one way the president prefers to alert the public. So use Twitter to post information. Others will pick it up, share it, and forward it to other people. That's called retweeting. So it's a great platform, and you can use it very effectively. There are a bunch of others that are out there. We're just going to touch on a few of them. Meetup.com. Meetup.com is a great platform for business. If you've never heard of this before, no, it is not the #1 dating website that's out there. Although there are groups that are probably groups for seniors. But what they are is these are these digital or electronic groups in Meetup, kind of like LinkedIn groups on steroids. And they're really meant to advertise and promote in-person groups and events or webinars and things like that. So the Meetup has an assembly of people, members, and you can communicate within there. And you find out about the meetings that they're having. Join a group, don't join a group, visit, don't visit. It's up to you. It is completely free to use. The people that create the groups, the individual groups, they pay a monthly fee, but the people that are members don't. So create your profile, put some keywords. Meetup helps walk you through that. Put keywords that are relevant to your business or your personal interests. And then what Meetup will do is it'll periodically send you an email and let you know there's a Meetup group in the geography that you're interested in. You can go or not go or contact the group owner and talk to them. So it will let you know where there are groups that are relevant to you. YouTube. I'd be surprised if any of you on this call have never looked at a YouTube video. YouTube is great for making video for anything. Matter of fact, I'm going to post this on my YouTube channel after I get the video downloaded a little later tomorrow. It's a great website, and also it's been owned by Google since 2006, which means Google likes Google. So when there's search engine optimization and Google sees the relationship of things that you have online digitally and it's in Google, Google finds it a little faster. So it's a great place to be, but great for web and mobile video sharing, not hard to use at all. And Instagram, over 1 billion users of Instagram. So it's a very large photo and video sharing website. So another place to be, especially if you're the type of information you're going to be offering is of a video and digital nature. So if you're in the music industry and you make videos, if you're in the photography or video industry, graphic arts, social media marketing, you're going to want to consider Instagram as one of the platforms for you. Now, as I said, there are really hundreds or thousands that you could easily be on. I just wanted to put a couple of the big ones out there. But another form, this is terrific, is blogging. I'm a big fan of blogging. And if you ever wanted to know what the word blog, where it came from, it actually came from a word in the computer industry in the late 90s called weblog, kind of 2 words put together. And it got shortened to blog. And of course, the activity is blogging. So really what it is, it's a website, or it could just be a page on your website that allows you to write these short articles, and those articles are called posts. And you want to provide information to your readership, to the people that are following you. Generally, these are not big. They're a few paragraphs, 500, 600, 700 words. Mostly they're your opinion about something, not as much as something new. If you've really discovered something new and really want to make a statement that way, look for a professional journal or some other sort of venue, because you really want to make sure you get the credit for it. But you may be reading on something about new ways to promote on social media, and you comment on it. You give your opinion, your approach to the way you work, pros and cons to certain things. You can post it on your own site. If you have a web page for blogging on your website, you can post it on other people's sites, other sites as well. So some people invite guest authors. Yep. And another place to demonstrate your passion, things that you're passionate about, demonstrate your expertise. And also, you want to engage your users. Really what make websites very productive and effective are when they engage people, when there's something that grabs their attention, there's some sort of activity. Let them write a comment, a thank you for posting, or great comment, or let them disagree. You want to just get the dialogue going. And it does help develop and promote your brand. Blogging is a powerful way to really develop and promote your brand. Great tool. Email marketing. And from the digital perspective, those might be newsletters. But email marketing, it's a service I do quite a bit with my clients. It's a powerful way of sending a message to a group of people using email. So you can advertise a product, you can advertise a service, whatever it is that is important to you. You can provide information to others. You can be helpful, or how-tos, or what's new, or what's coming soon. It does help you enhance a relationship with your current or previous contacts. You get to keep you in the back of their mind. If they haven't thought about you for a while, all of a sudden you pop up in their inbox, and they'll remember you. And you can also encourage customer loyalty and repeat business. My favorite story with that is the pharmaceutical company CVS. So I've got one of those little red key tags on my key ring for CVS. When I go to CVS, I get it scanned. Well, because I'm a customer, every couple of weeks they send me coupons. My favorite coupon is 25% off anything not on sale. That basically means the whole store is on sale. So if I have a coupon to buy something, it's not 25% off, it's whatever the coupon is. And if I want to buy something else that's not on sale, it's 25% off. So because of that, they keep me going mostly to CVS and not to some of the competitors like Walgreens or Rite Aid or the others, because I'm not getting coupons from them. The other thing different about email marketing from the other social media marketing that we talked about is this is what's called outbound marketing. The other social media marketing is called inbound marketing. In inbound marketing, they have to find you. They have to be searching around, and you hope to pop up at the right time to be found. That's inbound marketing. Outbound marketing is when you're sending it to them. Traditional forms of outbound marketing would be sending flyers to somebody in the mail, television commercials, radio commercials. It's going to them. They don't have to find you. You're delivering the content to them. So email marketing becomes effective because you're putting the message right to them. So you have to think about who is your audience. There's a lot of people there. You've got to pick the right ones. Well, your audience are the people you want to reach through digital media, through social media marketing. You have to decide who that audience is. And then the content that you put out and the places where you post your content are going to be where your audience typically looks. So you need to understand what's important to your audience and how to communicate to them. It's got to be really focusing on them, because if you're giving them a lot of information that they don't want, then they are not your audience and they will ignore you, or they will put you in the spam folder, or you just won't get any effectiveness out of them. So think about it. If your audience is kind of retail-based or residential, the kind of content you're going to write and talk about, well, these are lay people. So you probably want to write in layperson's terms. So my point is, when you're writing content, whether it's on your website or the emails that you're sending out through email marketing or any of the posts that you put out, you may want to put it in layperson because that is your audience. On the other hand, if your audience is industry specific, you should put out industry terms. You should put out technical terms because your audience is going to expect that in order for them to be confident that you understand the business, it's because you talk their lingo as well. So do make sure that the content that you put out there is written in a way that your audience will accept. So if you're writing to technical people and you're writing layperson terms, they're going to think you're too basic, you're too generic, and vice versa. So this is kind of the $64,000 question. Which online platform is best for you? And I added this slide more than a year ago, but I always got the question, which is the best platform? I have a friend of mine, his name is Marty Latman. He's a very good business networker. Some of you may know him. And he answers a lot of questions with these two words, it depends. So which platform is best for you? You can't be on every platform. There's too many. If you spent your all day and night only online, you wouldn't get your business attended to. You wouldn't get your job done. So you clearly can't be on every platform. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to determine which online platform is most relevant to your audience. Where does your audience typically hang out online? Where do they look online? Are they more B2B or are they more B2C? If they're more consumer-based, residential, retail-based, some platforms like Facebook or industry platforms may make the most sense. So where does your audience hang out? Also, look at your competition. I'm sure you're not the only one who does what you do. You're hoping to get your piece of the pie. So do your Google searches and see where your competitors are. You should be exactly where your competitors are on that platform or those platforms. And when I first say that, I usually get people, especially in an in-person class, someone will raise their hand and say, no, I want to stand out. I don't want to be where my competitors are. I want to be found elsewhere. Well, that's not really the best strategy because your audience is already looking for your competitors. Your competitors figured this out and they're all hanging out in the same place. And I'll give you an example of another industry that kind of does that. So another example is the fast food industry. There may have been times that you've just in the mood to go out for a fast food meal. Maybe you've got kids as well. And so you drive down the main street of your town or in your community, and there's McDonald's. I'm just picking one, not because it's any other reason. And so McDonald's may be a fine option for some people. But think about what's across the street from McDonald's. It could be a Burger King or maybe a KFC, which is down the road from, any of the others, Wendy's, any of those. So what they figured out is you haven't made up your mind until you see what your options are. And so that's why you want to be where your competitors are, because your audience, your shoppers may not have figured out which one to contact yet. You want to be there. Once you figure out that place, start with that one. Oops. And then, over time, you'll start experimenting. See if it's working. Are you getting any attention? Are you getting more traffic to your website that's coming from your social media platform? If it's working, stick with it. If you've gotten good at it, move on to another one. So stick with the one that's working. If it's not working at all, don't put any more time into it. That one may not be right for you. So what do you do next? Very simple. Pick that tool. Just pick one, because if you don't consider it that way, if you don't pick just the one tool, it's like that joke, how do you eat the 1,000-pound elephant? Well, it's just overwhelming. But the joke answer, of course, is one bite at a time. There's thousands of tools out there. Pick that one. Start using it. That's the one you'll start with first. What do you do next? Sign up. Create an account. Start filling in some of the account details. Build up your profile. Just start right from the beginning. Most of these social media sites are free. And then if you ever need assistance, there's plenty of places too. There are webinars. Ask some friends or family members. If there are classes, the Princeton Adult School does have classes on some of the social media sites. Try those. You may even need a business or tech consultant to help you, and then that's fine. Someone to help get you started so you can move forward more efficiently and effectively. And then just move forward from there. So start with that one tool, start getting comfortable with it, and then you can start moving forward. Okay, we are at our next intermission point. And if you've got a quick question, feel free to unmute yourself. Or if you want to write in the chat, you're welcome to, but you can unmute yourself. Anything about what we've talked about so far? Anything that's of curiosity to you?
Hi, I came in a little bit late. This is Sharmila.
Hi.
Are you going to be giving us this PowerPoint?
Yes, so both the PowerPoint and the full recording of this presentation will be available on my website.
Wonderful, thank you.
And I will give you that information among the very last slides.
Great, because I've been writing like crazy.
Oh, good. No worries at all. Yeah, so if you missed anything or you want to hear something again, of course, it'll be on my website, princetontechadvisors.com. But one of the last slides will show you exactly where to look. And there's some minor editing I'll do with the video. There was some chat at the beginning and the end of the class. I'll just edit that out and then post the video as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I have a question.
Sure.
How do you determine how much traffic is coming to your website?
So yeah, that is a very good question. Almost all of these sites, your website. The best tool for doing that is a tool that Google makes available for free called Google Analytics. It's separate from the Google My Business, but it can be accessed there as well. And so in Google Analytics, it's free, it's with your Google or Gmail account, and they give you a code. I won't go into great detail. It starts with the letter G. I think it's 8 digits. And then in almost all websites, there's a place to put that code, or they also give you a line of computer code that you can put in each page. But in platforms like WordPress and Wix and Weebly and all those, you just plop the code in. And then Google will recognize every time someone reaches your website, clicks on a page, it gathers all sorts of information about the user and sends it to your Google Analytics account. Your Google Analytics account will always have information that's 1 day old. In other words, you can't see the activity today, but you can see the activity up to yesterday. If you want to see today's activity, wait till tomorrow. So it's called Google Analytics.
Is that password protected or can anyone go in?
Google Analytics? So it's a Google account. It's a username and a password.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, nobody should be able to go into your Google account unless you give them permission to do so.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I don't think I have Google Analytics as a discussion in this program, but if you have additional questions about it, I'm happy to answer them. We are in a moment going to talk about search engine optimization and Google Ads for advertising online. Okay, any other questions? Going once, going twice, not yet in chat, so I guess we're all clear. Good. So here we go. And there's the search engine optimization. Search engine optimization, we could do an hour-plus presentation on it. It's a very big topic. We're only going to kind of scratch the surface, but I want to get you familiar with some of the terms and concepts in search engine optimization so that when you do engage in a discussion with someone, at least you will have enough initial and background information about it. But what a search engine optimization basically is, it's a way to drive traffic to your website naturally and organically. In other words, when someone is searching for someone like you, that drives traffic to your website. Your website comes up in a Google search. So here's how search engines work. Let's first talk about how search engines work. It doesn't matter if it's Google or Bing or any of the others, they all work in a very similar way. So you enter a search word or term in the search engine. There's usually a field or a box where you can type in a word or a couple of words, a phrase, and you press the search. Now, what Google and the other search engines don't do, and this is a misconception, people think this is the way it works. Google does not go out to every website and every web server across the whole world in order to find the best results, sort them, and then bring them up to you in a page in 1 second. That's not what Google does. Google, at search time, does not go out to the internet to search for all the websites and web servers to find the best results that match. That is not what Google does. That's not how search engines work. Instead, what Google does is day and night, they're always searching. They're searching for everything and anything. They're searching. They've got these little programs. Some people call them bots. Some people call them web crawlers. And all they are dumb little programs that go out and find things on the internet, on a website, on a web page on a website, behind the scenes in websites. There's some information that we put behind the scenes for search engine optimization. It finds it and it sends it back to Google. It's kind of like a digital hoarder, just finds stuff and keeps it. And then that information goes into the Google database, which is incredibly large. And then what happens is Google makes sense of it over time. So what you get is you get a list of the information that they've already assembled in their database that's relevant to the term that you put in. So that's why sometimes over time, your search results can change because Google has refined the search results on a phrase based on what the little bots and web crawlers are finding. Is that clear? Maybe we stop if it's unclear, got a question at this point. Okay.
So
I do have, oh, go ahead.
No,
So
go ahead,
that-
you got a question.
that you're better off using Google for your website and for your services versus, let's say, another service like Microsoft?
No. Well,
No? Okay.
if you're talking about the platform to build your website, that's not, you don't need to be building your website on a Google web platform. This is all in the context of searching. So in other words, when you do search engine optimization, at least when I do it with my clients, I only focus on how the way Google searches. I don't really concern myself as much specifically with Bing. Google has 85 to 90% of the searches, so we might as well just put all the time there. Your platform could be GoDaddy, could be Google, could be Microsoft, Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, WordPress, any of those. It doesn't matter, but Google is going to read the content on your website. It's not going to be as concerned about the platform it's on. I hope that was clear.
I also have a question. I've heard that Google has such internal intelligence with its analytics that it will customize results based on your past browsing history, the personal profile they have of you internally. So whereas one client may get a certain set of search results back, another client may get a different set of information back on the same search words.
Essentially, yes. So they're going to know that searches from certain areas, searches from certain users, because they're kind of cookies that they place on your machine and stuff like that. It's going to kind of get these little bits of information and try and make your experience more relevant. So if you put in plumber to fix a toilet, you don't want anyone from California because you're not going to call a California plumber. You're going to call, I'm assuming you're in New Jersey, a New Jersey plumber. So yeah, Google's going to make sense of that. You may have seen sometimes when you open certain websites, or maybe when you're using your phone, can the website use your location, right? Will you share that? Because they want to make the experience relevant to you. In addition, when you're analyzing your own analytics, we're not going into it in great detail here. So when you're in your own Google Analytics account and you want to look at the traffic that's coming to your website, you won't see the individual. You won't see that David Shuckman came to your website on October 22nd. You won't see that. You will see that somebody in West Windsor, New Jersey came to your website. That's actually where I am, the town next to Princeton. And so it will give you right down to the town or zip code where your traffic is coming to. That becomes important because you will market accordingly. So you want to make sure that your website is reaching the traffic that you're trying to. The more local your business, the closer to the area that you want your traffic to come. And yes, you'll see oddball things like, people from China or Russia reaching your website. Why are they there? Who knows? Maybe they're hackers trying to break in. But but they capture a lot of detailed information, but not the individual person.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions about this, or we will move on? And yeah, if a question comes to you in a couple minutes, that's fine. We've got plenty of time. Good. So what is search engine optimization? As I was saying before, it's the process of gaining organic traffic to your website. It's free, it's natural, it's kind of earned over time. You're not paying anyone to come to your website. What you're doing is you're building enough information into your website, into your whole social media presence, so that when someone puts a search term in, Google goes, oh, and this is one of them that I'm going to show, which hopefully will be yours. So it happens organically, and it does develop over time. So search engine optimization is also called SEO, and there are two primary components. One is called on-page SEO, and the other is called off-page SEO. Again, we're really talking high level. But the basic difference between the two, on-page SEO is anything that you can update, change, add, remove, place on your own website, your own web pages, even your social media. It's in your control. Now, of course, if you're not the web programmer, maybe you personally can't do it. You'll get your web programmer to do it, but it's all within your control. So you want to have the written content optimized with keywords. And then there are tools that Google provides that can help you find the best keywords. So Google Analytics is one of them that can provide that. Google Ads, actually, not Google Analytics, Google Ads provides it, Google Trends, and then there are other third-party services as well. There are a lot of hidden fields in the website, and if you don't know to fill them in, they're left blank. Or sometimes they're left with the original content that has nothing to do with you. So your website has a title, and you'll say, yes, of course it does, www, that's fine. But each page has its own title. You want to make sure that you put a good title on your web page because it's going to be relevant. Remember, tell a story up to Google about your website. So sometimes when you start with a blank website, this field is blank. You got to make sure it's there. And then other times what happens is if you copied another website to make your website, you've got a lot of old content from the old website, it's irrelevant to you. Also, every page, every web page has a web address. It's not just your web address of the home page, but if you go to your technology services page, it has as well. Every time you change a page on your website, look at the bar on top and you'll see a page change. I had one client who wanted me to help with search engine optimization, and each of the web pages were named page 1, page 2, page 3, and so forth. And I said, why did you do that? They said, well, that's the first page I created and the second page and so forth. So I asked, if Google saw page 2, what would be on it? What does that tell Google? It doesn't tell anything. Google reads these web addresses, these URLs, so make them relevant to your web page. There's some hidden fields called meta tags, meta descriptions. Metadata means data about the data. You don't see them. Your users don't see them. They're kind of behind the scenes, and so you can change them as well. They're big fields, and you can put up to 156 characters. At least that's what we understand Google pays attention to. The nice thing about these, they don't need to be grammatically correct. They can just be stuffed with keywords. And I wouldn't word stuff them like put, you know, social media, social media, social media, but individual keywords of all the different offerings that you have. But you don't have to have all the little prepositions and action words, excuse me, to make it a grammatically correct sentence, because nobody reads it. Google only cares about the keywords. And it helps Google understand more about what the web page and the website is about. And then there are also internal links. You may have seen where you clicked on a link on a page and the page quickly scrolls down. It's like some of you may remember the old programming style go-to statements, and that's kind of the equivalent. Well, give those tags names. Any place there are these tags in your web page, you want to have anchors as well. And then this is really the most important. They're called alt tags or image tags. So every picture that you put on a website has a field in the back called an alt tag. Some of you may remember the old days of printed photographs. And you would have a printed photograph, and then you would turn over the photograph and you'd write something. Family vacation, 1971. Okay, very nice. That's the digital equivalent. You're telling it on the picture what the picture is about. It helps Google understand more about the meaning of the relationship of the picture. Now, if you ever use those image services like Shutterstock, iStock, Getty Photo, and some of the free ones, you can download photos and that's fine. Some of them have image tags in them that are completely irrelevant to you. So you might be a social media marketing company, and then you might download a picture of two people talking on the phone or a cell phone, let's say. Well, you don't want the alt tag to say two people talking on a phone. You might want to put some keywords related to your business. But the alt tag that comes with it could be the title, two people talking on a phone. So you want to get the old stuff out, put the new stuff in. You could do it with photo editors, or some of the web builders have it built in as well. So on-page SEO is what you do on your website. Off-page SEO is all the stuff about you not on your website, basically other people's websites. This is activity that gives you a lot of credibility. In the Google world, this is like a referral. It's one thing if you say, I'm the greatest, but if someone says, she's the greatest, he's the greatest, that has more punch. And so this is the same thing. If Google sees references on other websites to your website, that provides a lot of credibility in the search engine optimization world. So it does give an indication also of how the world perceives you, especially to the search engines. The search engines see there's a lot of relevancy in your industry when others are kind of talking or related to you. So what's most important for relevancy are these things called link building or cross links. You want to put on your website links to other websites, and you want other websites to have links to your websites. And that second one is sometimes can be a little challenging. One way to do it is maybe call up your vendors, people that supply you. Another is your customers that are happy with you. Excuse me. Not only should they write a testimonial, hopefully you can post on your website, but also they'll put on their website a link to yours. In exchange, you'll put a link to theirs. So you kind of do a tit for tat kind of thing. It's perfectly fine. There's nothing inappropriate about it at all, but it's one way to start getting information on other websites about your website. And your social media sites. Your social media sites are within your control, so it's kind of like an on-page, off-page. So if you have your social media sites pointing to your website, then that provides a lot of credibility also to your website from a search engine optimization perspective. So things you can do to improve your search engine optimization, we'll start with the on-page stuff because it's quick and easy. It's the stuff in your control. And even if you're not doing it, call your web programmer, give the programmer a list of things that you would like to do, ask for guidance from them as well, update the text, update the keywords on the images. Those are places to start. Then later move on to the off page because that takes a little bit more time and effort. So start with the on page. So promote content with social media. Ask other website owners to, you'll exchange and put mutual links on. Place a website link in your social media platforms as well. And then also start submitting articles and posts to other platforms as well with links back to you. And so those can be some of the ways to do some of the off-page SEO. Okay, another intermission. So if you'd like, we could talk about search engine optimization. Next, we'll talk about Google Ads. No takers. Okay. Hopefully I've just stunned you with my brilliance, and you're not falling asleep. I can't tell if the dog fell asleep, but I wouldn't be insulted about that. Okay, good. So we will move on and we will talk about, it's called paid search or pay per click. And specifically, we'll talk about Google Ads, but a lot of the social media sites do have a paid service. You can boost things and post things and elevate to get your articles and posts more attention. On the website world, you want sometimes to do that as well. And pay-per-click is a internet marketing strategy where you pay a fee each time someone clicks your ad. What's kind of nice is you don't pay a fee just for posting. There's a way to do that too, but it's not very productive. But you do pay a fee when someone clicks your ad. And in one sense, that's kind of good because do you want to pay just to have an ad and nobody comes see it? Or would you pay if you get someone to click over, it's a potential lead. So it may be of more value to you. So really what you're doing is you're buying visits to your website. In the search engine optimization world, you're earning those organically, but in the pay-per-click world, you're kind of buying or paying for access to your website. Pay-per-click, it's really one of the most popular forms of online advertising, and basically because it's very effective. You do have to be careful. If you don't watch it, it may get expensive. There's ways to manage that. And the social media platforms, internet search engines, they all offer some form of pay-per-click. So we'll talk about Google Ads. It used to be called AdWords. They changed it a couple of years ago. 89% of searches in 2016 were via Google. I have no reason to believe the number is any lower right now. Just Google has the marketplace. Your websites are seen at the moment people are searching for things you offer. More specifically, they're seeing you at the moment you're searching for something that matches your ad. Your ad will have certain keywords. If the search term equals, then it will show up. But you only pay if they click to go to your website. So if your ad pops up, but they don't click, you didn't pay for that. But if they then click, because you're the first, the second, or third that comes up and they click, you're going to pay for that. So you write an ad, tell people what you offer. You'll have some good keywords in there. You choose your advertising audience. And this is very important and helps mitigate the cost. If your business is primarily local, let's say New Jersey, you're not going to want your ad to pop up in Texas. You may not be able to serve clients in Texas. Nothing wrong with Texans at all. It's just you may not be able to do business there. So as you build the ad, among the things you're doing is telling Google the location. And it's actually pretty cool. You can tell it a state, a county, a municipal area, which is kind of a geographic area. You can tell it individual zip codes. So you can get very specific. So if you think in a county, certain zip codes are more affluent and appropriate for you than others, just pick the zip codes. You pick the keywords. And you also set what we call a bid strategy. How much are you willing to pay? Now, Google usually gives you a recommended amount. And then what is your limit for the day or the week or the month? So if you're willing to pay $1 a click, but you want to limit that to $10 a day, so that's $300 a month, the moment someone presses that 10th click, let's say that's by noon, your ad won't show up anymore today. But at least you're managing your expense. Okay, so you set that daily budget. So here's an example. I put in plumber Princeton. And here's an example. The first 4 that come up are ads, right? Home services / plumbing. The next one is Roto-Rooter. The third one is Mr. Rooter. The fourth one is AJ Perry. It happens to be my HVAC provider. Okay. And then what came after it? Well, the ads are what the Google ads are. They have pay-per-click. If you click on any of those first four, those people are paying Google because you clicked on them. The ones after it are now the more organic ones. And this is funny. What came up as the first organic? HomeAdvisor. HomeAdvisor is not a plumber, but it's a company that advertises plumbers. The next one after that is Yelp, another rating service. So plumbers, and I picked plumbers on purpose, plumbers don't really do a lot of web advertising at all. The big companies do, but the individual shops don't typically. So the first few sites organically are not even plumbers. So if you're a plumber in Princeton, you may not be coming up to the top right away. So as you compare search engine optimization as a strategy to pay-per-click as a strategy, these are both called search engine marketing, so they're both strategy. And as you see side by side, search engine optimization, it's organic, it's slow. It takes a while. Just because you put up your website doesn't mean Google knows about it yet. Now, there are some tips and tricks that we do in the web world for getting Google to recognize you a little faster, but in reality, it could take a couple of months to really become durable. And what's nice is once Google knows about you, it holds on to you, it knows about you. Pay-per-click is fast. As soon as you publish your ad, the next time someone searches for you that matches your ad, it will show up. So it's very fast. If you're not careful, it's expensive. So you have to have an advertising budget, and it's temporary. As soon as you turn it off, it just stops showing up. Pay-per-click, it's a little bit easier to track your return on investment. It's not affected by search algorithms. So even if Google changes the search algorithm, as long as they're doing pay-per-click, you come up to the top. And you can target and segment your audience more easily with pay-per-click. So you have to see what your strategy is. For a lot of businesses, when they're starting out, they start with search engine optimization. And as they start to have a level of success to get to the next level, they switch to pay-per-click. So we're near the end of our presentation now. So social media is using the internet to share information. That's really just what social media is. It includes your website, we didn't talk about, but it includes e-commerce, social media platforms, email marketing, search engine optimization, a whole lot more. There's just a lot to it. You can monitor and tweak the tools that you have that you're going to use. You can monitor campaign performance and just pick one and get started. That is the one that will be best for your needs. And as you get comfortable, you can always add another. So you asked earlier, where can you find the slide deck? So this is my website, Princeton Tech Advisors. Click on the workshops tab. That's kind of what I call this, workshops. And then at the bottom, there's a link for recently offered programs. All of my 2020 programs are on that page. Actually, at the bottom are links to all my other programs. And so right now, this is the program right at top. Next week, I'm doing another program. That'll be at top. This one will be number 2. That's just kind of how I do it in reverse chronological order. Okay, so any more questions for by any of us? And there's my contact information if you'd like. Anything? Or impression? Yeah, just open the mic, yeah.
Go ahead, Gabriella.
No, you go ahead. Mine's too specific.
Oh, okay. So I'm actually in a health science. I'm a speech language therapist, and I just am going into private practice for myself, but just under my name as a sole proprietor. So I'm limited as to the amount of business I can take in right now and the number of clients. Is there, and obviously I'd be marketing to parents and possibly schools. So I guess I don't know if it's more of a niche type of marketing that I need to do, or maybe angle it a slightly different way.
Well, you certainly need to understand your marketplace so you know how to compete. So maybe there are others that are doing what you are doing or about to do, and you can ask them. So that may be one way to see how they're marketing. If you join Meetup or one of those, you may not want to join other therapy or types of organizations, but instead education organizations where parents may be, where they may be hanging out. So you want to find social media groups and websites that are used by your clients and not your competitors. You want to be where your competitors are, so you can compete against them, but you want to publish and look for connecting with people that are in your client base. If you have not yet formed your business, the very first thing you should do is not form your business. That's the second thing you should do. Like if you want to be an LLC or a corp, the very first thing you should do is get your web address. And the reason why is the publication of your name, especially when you become a company, it's in the public domain. So I'm sorry, I'm muting you. I have to mute you because of the background noise. So your registration of your company name is in the public domain, and there are people that go through the public domain and look for new companies, and then they get web addresses and they sit on them. And then what they hope to do is that you will say, oh, I want that web address, and they'll resell it to you at a profit. So what I would say is buy 2 or 3 web addresses as you think you're planning your business, and do that first. In Google, it's $12 a year to get a web address, so it's not a big investment at all. Now that you have your web address, now go register your business, and you're protecting your web address for your use.
Great suggestions. Those are great suggestions. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Gabriella, you had a question too?
Yeah, my question is about keeping up with being active in the website and blogging, and I mean, I get tired just thinking about it. But how do you do your job and at the same time are active on the website? On all these.
So yeah, there's 2 things that come to mind. One is, yeah, you can't be everywhere. I mentioned that earlier. So find one place to get started. Don't worry about the 999 others where you possibly could be. If you get big enough, you'll hire a social media strategy person who'll do that for you. But if not, you're right, you would not be able to serve your clients and do the work that you need to do because you're just too busy doing the marketing of yourself online. I happen to know Gabriella. She's a financial planner. Why do I bring that up? You are actually under compliance as well. So you can't put anything out there that you want. You're very monitored by the type of information. So you're not going to be everywhere just because the industry has the compliance issue that you must do. But if you're also working with or related to some broker-dealer organization, I don't remember if you are or not, there's a good chance they're putting out approved content. So that means you can copy and paste it. So it's less time consuming for you. You could put it in 2 or 3 places because you're not spending the time writing it. And so that may be actually an advantage for you. Yep, good questions. Anything else? No? Okay. So good. Well, thank you very much. Nice to meet you. Glad you were all able to join us on our presentation today in our class at the Princeton Adult School. Please, if you want, take a screenshot of my contact information. At the very least, it's where you will find the presentation to download. You can download it right now. I posted it just before we started. And like I said, the video of this will be available probably by tomorrow, just given the hour. And so by tomorrow afternoon, and you can watch it again as well. It will be in the same place on my website. You'll see the link for the video. I'm sorry, the link for the presentation right below it, the link for the video, and that will be there. All right. So thank you very much, and have a good evening, everybody.